These entitled mums think they can cheat to get their daughter the star role in the local play. But cheating can't cover up the awful lack of talent these kids have. Happy birthday if today's your birthday, and on with the show. The background. I was a site engineer in the finishing stages of a mall. Restaurants and stores were handled by their own contractors, and our only interaction was to ensure their compliance and connection to the mall's overall fire emergency system. Now, hooking up a normal sized store would usually take us an hour because we had to simulate a fire and ping every fire detector to ensure we had their proper location and address. We usually did this in the early hours of the morning, around 8 AM. However, by the time we reached the restaurant level, they had already opened, and on this fateful day, I had the largest restaurant on the level to deal with. While we started at 8 AM, it was around 10 AM, and we were only halfway done when the restaurant opened to the patrons. The cast: manager, entitled mum, daughter, son, and me. Here's the scene. Manager: Baron, I'm gonna let in a family who came early because it's really hot outside. Fine, but please keep them on the right wing of the store while we finish here, and we'll try to keep noise and dust to a minimum. I have a reservation for 3. Hi, yes, please, right this way. Oh, so they're still working on the… He gave us a wave. What? How disgusting. Why are you guys open when they're still working? Oh, don't worry, ma'am. You'll be seated away from the work. And as you can see, they have a transparent tarp set up between us, so you won't see a single speck of dust. It's not just the dust, but the smell. Disgusting pigs. Can't even shower? We've been working without AC on the outside of the store in August since 8 AM, but we did not smell. Really. Hey, excuse me. Mom, don't. The sigh was palpable. You, one with the glasses. You need to leave. First, I have a name, but I don't care about your name. Just do as I say or I'll tell your boss and have you fired. Really. You know, if I tell my guys to step down the ladder, we will close this place. I don't care if you won't get off the ladder. I'll push them off. Here is the thing. The ladder is about 3 meters high, around 10 feet. Both technicians are dangling from it, testing fire alarms for misfires and classifications. A fall from that height with their feet wrapped around the ladder steps would mean broken legs, hips, and they might see a few broken ribs. What the actual frick did you just say? Cross the top and attempt it. Ma'am, I'm going to have to call security if you do not stop this. Mom, stop. How dare you threaten me? She walked over the top. Okay, I slapped her with the back of the iPad I was using as a checklist and pushed her onto the floor and onto her butt out of the top. Threaten my staff again. I dare you. How dare you touch me? I will have your head for this, you pig. Well, I did not really touch you. I don't touch trash barehanded. I wiggled my iPad in front of her. Son, beat him. She began breathing heavily and as if a demon is going to appear beside her to kill me. No. He grabbed his mum by the shoulder, helped her up, and ushered her out the door. I've never seen someone more ashamed. Miss, I called security. Please step outside with me. The aftermath. The security came and took their statements. She screamed a few more insults and said I broke her teeth, but refused to open her mouth to show the security. Once they mentioned cameras, she started to pretend to faint. I was called in and asked to tell my side of the story, and mine was corroborated by the cameras in the store. I did not face any charges, and the woman was banned from the mall. Her kids, however, were still allowed to enter normally. The primary reason I've been holding off this story is because how I handled it was immature, and where I should have de-escalated the situation, I reacted by enticing a confrontation. Regardless of whether people deserve to be called out for their behavior or punished, should be a matter of law and not personal vendettas. While I did not get punished, I am somewhat ashamed of my actions. When possible, we should try to de-escalate situations. A lesson I learned after a few more of these encounters. Author's note: slap here might be too aggressive of a description, but it's the closest term I could think of. I firmly placed the iPad on her face and forcefully pushed it off. In other terms, the iPad did not forcefully collide with her face initially, but it was a powerful push followed by a body shove. If you were heading to a restaurant and just expected a nice quiet meal, you could understand why you'd be a bit upset if there was some work going on there. But of course, for this entitled parent, it's not enough to just say, oh, actually, we don't want to eat here and they'll leave and find somewhere else. No, she of course has to threaten the workers because the whole world has to revolve around them. Y'all, I have never experienced an actual Karen with my own two eyes before yesterday evening. It was absolutely surreal. To preface, my mum asked me to stop at her local Aldi for some snacks before I went home after work. I got my card, made sure my mask fit tightly, and braved it, because the particular Aldi is a real nightmare, except for the employees. Normally I don't have any issues with people, I just hate when people aren't following social distancing and the one ways. But yesterday was different. I go in and grab everything quickly because there's a ton of people. It's 110 degrees out and I'm exhausted. Finally get to the last aisle where the rice is and called my mum to ask if I'd gotten everything she wanted. Suddenly, I hear someone yelling. I look over my shoulder and find the almighty Karen and her adult son by the freezers. Now, I'm not going to really say anything negative about the son because he seemed to have an issue. Maybe non-functioning autism or something of that sort. It was the son who was screeching and having a meltdown over something, while Karen just snapped at him and was making demands at him. She had been yelling at him from across the store since I got there. I had a no good feeling about this lady, so I quickly moved away and made a loop to get in line, using the correct one way. As I got in line, there was very clearly two checkout lanes open, but one single line, and you go to whoever is free first. There was a guy in line with a single can of baby formula, followed by a couple with a cart, then me. Both checkout lanes each had someone checking out at the time. No problem. Aldi employees are quick and friendly, and that's why I exclusively shop there. Here came Karen and co. with her few items, going the wrong way. She thought she could get in front of the guy with the formula instead of getting behind the lady that was behind me now. Everything was hushed whispers for a second, then turned into full-blown arguing and screaming. All I could hear was Karen screaming some nasty things at the formula guy and the son chiming in because, like I said, he had a problem and maybe couldn't control his outbursts. But Karen was not helping. She encouraged the behavior and only escalated his anger, and they ganged up on formula guy, shouting at him and claiming that he can't in front of them, which is not true. The couple in front of me scooted back to avoid the conflict brewing. Karen repeatedly screamed, "Excuse me," at the formula guy, and as I was hearing from the employees, she pushed the formula guy and made a racist comment towards him. He was Hispanic, she was Chinese. I could only hear everything, not see as I'm short, and the couple in front of me were tall. At that point, the two employees got off the lanes and stepped between them and tried to simmer down the fight. Karen decided it was best to argue instead of going to the back of the line. The employees finally decided to let the formula guy get checked out and leave so she would stop her screaming. She was pulled from the line and continued to complain and moan the entire time formula guy was being rung up. The other employee tried placating her by offering her to go since she'd been acting like a crybaby over a place in a line. "Do you want to be checked out next?" "Well, whomever, I guess. Whomever." "Come on then." The employee let her skip the line and got her checkout quickly. But Karen, instead of being grateful, she still got her way after holding up the line for 5 minutes and assaulting a customer loudly complained. Karen angrily pulling out her card. "This is a free country. I should be able to do what I want." The employee was silent. At this point, I turned to the woman behind me who was watching with wide eyes. It was clear she'd never seen such bullcrap before. "I work 10-hour days. I just want to go home and sleep." "I know, it's not that serious." Meanwhile, Karen bagged up her crap, got her son, and hightailed it out of there, glaring at everyone the entire way. When it was my turn, I heard the other customers apologizing to the cashier and saying how it's not right for people to be racist towards each other like that. I apologized to the man checking me out. I had never seen something like that before. When I was bagging my stuff, I heard the employees talking to each other about the fight. "Why does this always happen here? This is the second fight I had to break up this week. Maybe this Karen is a regular shopper there." Either way, I'm a little ticked she got her way after that behavior. I knew she was going to be trouble from the moment I saw her. It's just a shame that there was no justice with her for making a scene, assaulting a customer, making everyone's job miserable. Now, unfortunately, we don't always get our justice at the end of these stories. Sometimes we just get a tale of a terrible person. But let them be a warning to you to always be on your guard, for the entitled parent is out there ready to pounce at any moment. Just like this poor person, they never had an encounter before in their life, and then one day, bam, there's the entitled parent ready to ruin their day. I was thinking about the situation I was in as a 13 or 14-year-old kid, this was about a decade ago, and realized it would probably fit here. So here goes. Cast: me, it's me, EM1, main entitled mum, VEMs, various other entitled mums, friends of EM1, EK entitled kid, OKs, other kids. So when I was a kid, I used to do these 5-day theater camps by this company that travels through the Midwest. The first day was a group audition and casting. Then we would learn a short show within 3 days and perform it on the 5th day. It was for kids 1st to 12th grade. Bigger roles usually went to older kids who were up for the challenge, while little kids would usually have group roles unless they had a great audition and showed they could learn the lines quickly. At the time of the incident, I had been doing this camp for about 3 years in my hometown. This year, after my town finished its camp, the smaller town next door contacted our school to invite us to join their camp production. They feared that their town was too small to fill all the necessary roles, and since it was a different show than we had done in our town, I thought it would be a great opportunity to make more friends and practice learning lines quickly. I didn't know any of the kids from the town next door when I arrived on audition day, but I quickly made friends with some of the OKs. We spent about 2 hours auditioning, and when the director had deliberated for a bit, they announced the roles. To my surprise and pleasure, I had gotten the lead role. I was so excited to give it my all. The parents were allowed to stay and watch auditions, and one of the mums was very upset that an outsider had gotten the role she thought her daughter deserved. She tried to pull the directors aside and make them change their minds. The directors were obviously annoyed, but were polite to EM1 and explained that even if I hadn't gotten the role, her daughter was not even their second choice. EM1 did not take rejection well, however, and decided that she would make my life a living heck for the next week. She got some of the more petty parents to tell their children not to talk to me. Her kid, the EK, made faces at me every chance she could and would talk crap with her friends backstage. I didn't really mind the kids talking, but the adults got out of hand by the 3rd day of camp. I was always a skinny kid with long legs, and one day I came to camp in shorts and a shirt with a sheer back panel and a tank top. For context, I am a girl. As I was sitting with some of the OKs I had befriended, one of the VEMs approached me. She asked me to stand up. Confused, I stood, whereupon she told me I was dressed inappropriately and needed to go home and change. She was smirking as she told me this. She knew I lived half an hour away instead of down the street, and that my mum had just left. When I asked what was wrong with my outfit, which my conservative grandmother had bought for me, EM told me that I was dressed like a, and that my shorts were extremely short and my shirt was see-through. When I told her I couldn't go home, she shoved me so hard I fell to the ground. In shock at her behavior, I tearfully told her that if she had something I could wear, I would be happy to. She went to her car and brought me back a sweater that appeared to have cat vomit on it. The day of the performance, my mum took a group picture of me and every girl in the show. She then went to the mum that called me and pointed out that her daughter was wearing shorts the same length as mine and a similar style of top. She then tore that bee a new hole for calling her literal child, especially when her own child was dressed the same way. The show itself went very well, but the next year at camp, the same EMs convinced the directors to cast me in a role with no lines, no matter how well I auditioned, despite the fact that they wouldn't have enough people for the show if people from my town didn't join. The one thing that made me feel better, none of the EM's kids got good roles the next year either. There are so many people in life who just don't have the talent or aren't willing to put in the work to get ahead in life, whether it be auditioning for a role in a play or it might be a promotion for a job. So these entitled people, and in this case entitled parents, will cheat and lie and say horrible things all to push other people down because they don't know how to pull themselves up. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.